Sometimes things don't ever seem to need a change. They just need to be tweaked to feel fresh. Take a look at the Mario games, for example. They just need to change up how their platform-style gameplay was, and it keeps becoming relevant. Sure, they've gambled with games like Super Mario RPG, the Mario sports games, Mario Party, and so on. The thing is that, for the most part, the main series has always kept a strong basis in the platform genre. Another Nintendo franchise that hasn't really changed all that much is Kirby. Most of the games have been platform games, with a few exceptions such as Kirby Pinball Land. So I thought it would be just as good of a time as ever to take a look at Kirby's Return to Dreamland for the Wii. The development history is pretty basic for the franchise. It was developed by HAL Laboratory, published by Nintendo, and released on October 24th, 2011. We all know who HAL Laboratory is by now. For the few who haven't heard of them, here's a quick overview. HAL Laboratory is a long-running game development team going back to the 1980s. Some of the franchises they've created include the adventures of Lolo, Earthbound, and Kirby, which is their most beloved. They have also developed games such as the SNES Gem Arcana, Pokemon Stadium, Vegas Stakes, Pokemon Snap, Ghostbusters 2. They developed the port of SimCity 2000 for the SNES, and the Japan-only SimCity 64 for the Nintendo 64 disk drive, among others. Not to mention, this was the same company behind the supremely popular Super Smash Bros. Series. Most importantly, this is where Satoshi Iwata got his first big start. Yes, the same Satoshi Iwata who would go on to become the president of Nintendo and who sadly passed away recently. This company is a talent-generating machine, so since we got that out of the way, let's jump into the game, shall we? The storyline itself is self-explanatory for Kirby game. According to Wikipedia, the story begins with Kirby carrying a cake while King Dedede and Waddle Dee chase him. Kirby and the gang sees a ship fly out a wormhole and they go to investigate. They enter the ship and encounter Megalore, a creature who discovers that the 5 vital pieces of the ship, the Lore Star Cutter, along with 120 energy spears, have been scattered across the planet, with Megalore offering them a trip to his home world should they help to fix his ship. Kirby and his friends set off to recover the lost pieces of his ship. Pretty standard for a Nintendo title. The graphics are those of a typical Kirby game. It's a colorful and kid-friendly art style. If you were expecting anything else, then go back and play Call of Duty or whatever game you were playing. The game also sticks to its style of using 3D characters in a 2D world. It's very much like Kelowna or Pandemonium on the PlayStation 1, but when you consider that the game's development originally started in 2000, it's not a surprise it feels a lot like Kirby and the Crystal Shards. Other than that, what you see is what you get. The only really noteworthy thing is that some of the screen coloring moves really look impressive for the Nintendo Wii. The audio is the same old story. If you have ever played a Kirby game, then you know what to expect here. Kirby has its own style for its music, and it really doesn't change here. Fans of Kirby will like the music, but I think players will find the music is starting to get a little bit stale. As for me, it's not going to set the world on fire, but it's fairly well done. I'll put the gameplay like Kirby is Kirby and not a lot changes from game to game. Yet for what it is, it does its job really well. You go around in these 2D areas, sucking up enemies to absorb their powers, finding hidden paths that lead to unlockable extras, and beating up baddies. The only thing they changed up is the additional 4-player local cooperative play. You play with up to 4 players, with other players taking control of characters such as King Dedede, the adorable Waddle Dee, and Meta Knight. This is also one of the few times that co-op is in a Kirby game, with the last one I think being Kirby and the Amazing Mirror for the GBA. For what it is, it's a solid playing cooperative experience for a platforming game. There are also mini-games such as the Ninja Dojo, but they feel more at home in a game like Mario Party. As for the rest of the gameplay, outside the game feeling like you have been there and done that, there's really nothing to complain about. The controls are great. The Kirby games have always been some of the better controlling 2D platforming games, and Return to Dreamland is no different. They're that happy medium between stiff and slippery. My only complaint is that the game is too easy. The game gives you more than enough lives to blow through it in a weekend, and there isn't too many sections that gave me problems. The thing is that the series was always made for kids between 6 and 10 years old. When we played Kirby's Adventure, we were around that age and fell in love with it. So this criticism is null and void for me. It's yet another really solid platforming game from HAL Laboratory, and it's worth at least giving this game a shot. Overall, Kirby's Return to Dreamland is a solid game. If you like the franchise, then this game is right up your alley. Just don't expect anything more than another really solid 2D platforming game with 4-player co-op. What you see is what you get, and I enjoyed it, therefore I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.